Okay, let's cross over and bring you sports. Oreko Ampofo is, of course, holidaying. He joins us via Zoom. Good for you, Oreko. Good morning. Chill. You should bring us breakfasts.
I will. You want fried egg?
Oh, how? How? Today is a holiday. Master. You at home. You can package some breakfast and bring it over.
If it's going to be fried eggs, then make it an English breakfast, the whole package. All right, Oreko, take it away with sports.
I'll consider that. Okay, so yeah, it's been all smiles for Ghanaians as Mother Ghana was gifted with a prestigious birthday on her 64th birthday. The Black Satellites won their 4th Africa Cup of Nations after beating Uganda 2-0 in the final. It's been about 48 hours since, but now that the euphoria has settled, it's now time to look forward. What next for these young, talented players and who have conquered Africa? How do we ensure that these guys are preserved and then transitioned well into the Black Stars? Hello and good morning and welcome to the AM Sports with me, Oreko Ampofo. Today is a special edition because I'll be joined by two guys, and that is, Samuel Inkum, and then a member, he was also a member of the 2009 squad that won the Africa Cup of Nations and then the World Cup. And I've also been joined by Coach Didi Dramani, who's a transitional coach at Norgeland, and he has a lot of experience helping young players, develop their potential and all that. It's a pleasure to have you guys. A very good morning to you. Let me start with you, Coach Didi Dramani. You watched the whole tournament, or you probably got updates on it, throughout the whole, the games that Ghana played. What were your overall impressions on the Black Satellites team?
A very good morning, and then thank you very much for having me on your very important show. I actually did not have time to watch the games because they conflict. The times conflicted with what I do here. And but I had updates. I even had the opportunity of speaking and then giving words to the technical crew, and so in terms of following up, yes, I'm well informed about the procedures and the processes of what happened in the Mauritania.
We'll do a more intensive analysis on the performances of the players, but let me also come to you, Samuel Inkum. Welcome. And what were your initial thoughts, throughout the whole tournament? What do you think of this team?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to also say good morning to you and your viewers as well, and also all Ghanaians as well. Me and you were following the game. We were talking back and forth about this game, and I think the guys have done well. They have done well because, and they also gave us a gift, like it was also Ghana 64 Independence Day. So I think it was something that is going to be remained forever.
So we'll be looking at the tournament proper and a bit of analysis. Some Ghanaians were saying that they were not too happy with the performance and all that. So we'll be getting the thoughts of my panelists. But before we do head to that, let's get the latest that has to do with the Black Satellites team who returned to Ghana yesterday.
The Air Force Base saw government officials led by the sports minister, GFA officials led by the vice president, and also a small group of supporters to receive the victorious satellites. The team was quickly whisked to a conference room at the Air Force Base where the sports minister welcomed them officially back to Ghana.
3 weeks ago, you left this country empty-handed. And you are here today with us with gold medals and a trophy. You couldn't have given us any better independence gift than this. This is a befitting independence anniversary gift that you are giving to His Excellency the President of the Republic, and the good people of this our great country. Like the President said, the whole country is proud of you. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is so proud and excited for what you have done for this our great country. And like he said, he can't wait to receive you at the seat of government, the Jubilee House.
The chairman of the Satellites Management Committee is Randy Abe, and he also had a few words to say.
It was not an easy task, and I will spare everybody else the details. I mean, the details will be in our reports to the respective authorities. But the road was bumpy, but we expected it because to become champions is like baking bread. You need to go through the process, and you have to go through heat and fire to be able to be well baked. And we went through that, through our group stages, through the knockout stage, and to the final held yesterday. And to the glory of God, we emerged victorious.
When it got to the turn of Coach Karim Zito, he was quick to remind everyone that he did not get support because of his links with Ketu Kraku, but insists that he was the best man for the job because of his capability.
Initially, you people didn't have confidence in us. Even me, when I was asked to take them, many of you criticized me, thinking because the chairman is my boss, so the president is my boss, that was why. No. And it also helped me. I thank you people who did that. Energized me to work to tell you that he gave me the job based on my ability and capability as a coach.
All in all, it was a small but intimate affair at the Air Force Base for this team that has proved critics wrong, and we understand that they will later meet the president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Well, that report was by Joy Sports' Gary Al Smith. Now, in case you're wondering why there was heavy criticism on this Black Satellites team, well, there was a school of thought that suggested that this is youth football and they would love to see patterns established and, the team play well to the best of their capabilities rather than grind out games and not be too result-oriented. Now, let me come to you, Coach Didi Dramani. Now, we know it's youth football, and we know they have won the tournament. But what really should be next in line for these guys? How do we get the best out of these crop of players who have just conquered Africa?
I think that it was most unfortunate to sound more very emotional in that perspective by my colleague. But I think that the most important here in establishing what goes into youth football development is culture. And culture institution in terms of football is a holistic organizational structure that normally is put in place in terms of looking into the future, not necessarily basing aspects on current performance, but looking into the future. Whatever we're doing today has to do with the blasters that we are thinking about instituting. And again, it is important also to establish that you need structures in terms of transition of players from the U17 to the U20 and then to the U23. And then that is how they get into the phases of the blasters. And more so, the education of the youth player is very paramount at this stage. The discovery of the player is very important because when you are discovering a youth player, the idea is to discover a future blasters player. And so you acknowledge that you are giving opportunities to individuals, but these opportunities should be privileges that are normally given to players to play at the national level. But in totality, I'm looking at youth football in the context of the entire nation. If it's in the context of the entire nation, it does not necessarily, relate to only the national team. If you relate it to only the national team, you understand that it's just a handful of players that fit in there. Emphasis is normally based on the institution of the right structures in terms of peddling it out across the fundamentals of the basis in the clubs. Because if the clubs are more endued with better structures, and that is what the club licensing is speaking about regarding putting in place youth development programs, and then categorizing it from U12 and categorizing it to U15 and then U17 and then U19. These are all structured, structures that are instituted in order to build into the future. So youth football development devolves on the approach of putting in place established structures in terms of layers where you can always make references, and then where you can also be able to institute the right approaches in terms of the players' education on and off the pitch, which is very, very fundamental, because even though we want to be motivated with a level of an aspect of success, but success normally is supposed to be created. And so fundamentally, I would say that youth football has to be dwelt on structures. And I believe that this current team, at least on a note, I will not be looking at the current performance, but I'm looking at it from the point of transiting players from the U17 that Coach Zito handled. I can speak about Huzeru, who is from Tamale, and then a few others that had the opportunity of transiting into the U20. I look at it from this point of view than just the trophy is just a bonus. But I'm looking at the stages of how would these boys be moved to the next phases. If you look at the antecedents of the past, you will agree that I'm just going to cite Richard Ofori and then Eric Ofori entry.
Yeah.
They were with the Settlers team.
Yeah.
They were and the Atizigi. So when you look at their transition, and then when you look at the transition of I handled the U20s in 2015. That is Nicolas Opoku, Gideon Mensah, Emmanuel Lumote.
We'll come to the specifics. Yeah, we'll come to the specifics in terms of the players and how some of them have failed to move on from the youth teams. But I love your point on starting that culture and then putting in place the right structures. But let me come to you, Samuel Inkum, and you put us in the right zone for that discussion when it comes to moving players from the youth level to the senior level. Inkum, you were privileged to have moved straight into the senior team, after your success in the World Cup in 2009, and you had a chance to even play in the World Cup at 2010. What did you guys do right that you could just move in so quickly?
Yes, like what I think I would like to say something about what Didier Dramani is saying. I think he made a good point there. And the cup is just a bonus, which is his right. And I believe that this is the time that we have to keep the players. Our time, the reason why we go to the senior national team, that you can see that after even the cup, we want to also prove a point that we can be there as a player representing our country to play in senior side. So I believe that they have to keep their eye on the players. They shouldn't. I believe in what I want to say is that if they shouldn't even wait that when they have tournament before maybe they will group them or something like that. I think we have the World Cup and U23 as well. So I believe that they have to keep them, give them proper training, going to training tour, visiting some of the European top clubs. Camp them, group them, let them know, because they are in 4 years, 5 years. They can be in the senior national team. But if you don't take good care of them, if you don't keep your eye on them, you cannot even find even one. You understand what I mean? So I believe that players will do mistakes sometimes, decisions and this kind of stuff. But if we keep our eye on them, make sure the club that they they have much playing time. Don't wait for the tournament before you just gathering them to go to maybe a camp or something like that. Maybe in 3 months, 4 months, you have to put them together, give them proper training, so that I believe that this squad will be maybe in 4 years, 5 years, we can get the best of them in the senior national team.
Let me come back to you, Coach. Nku makes a fantastic point about camping these players even when they're not going to play tournaments. Are those part of the structures that you think should be put in place to ensure that we preserve? Right?
But Uroko, that is not possible. It's not possible. That is why I started by saying that institution of these policies has to be based on clubs, and that is why the club licensing has been instituted, and the sporting criteria is taking care of that one before a club is licensed to operate professionally. The club need to have structured youth development programs that is running through, being handled by qualified personnel, being handled and then instituted with benefits of health and then educational, subsidiaries. These are all measures in terms of the structures that we are speaking about. You cannot develop your football with the national team. The national team has no player. The players are owned by clubs. If we are able to institute, as Nku knows, I know him very, very well. And we know ourselves very, very well. Before Nku joined the 2005 and the 17, he was in the Winneba Academy. And he missed that trip. I hope by now I'm reflecting back to things that happened. I think that was in 2002 or so. I don't know, the first one that Duncan handled. Which squad was that, Nkum?
I think in 2004.
Okay. Now, in 2004, Nkum missed the under-17, but he was still a structured player in the Winneba Academy. And then in that situation, the next one, he was already preparing. Yeah. You will not have time. Now we are even, at that time, the football was not structured in terms of springing out of academies. We had only Feyenoord Academy and then Winneba Sports College Academy at the time. But today we have clubs with youth development structures being enforced by CAF and then FIFA. So based on these structures, all that we need to do is to find them the right competition structure. All that we need to be doing is the monitoring, as Nkum said. All that we need to do is to continue to evaluate by putting them on the right database. When you have them on the right database, and then these boys are in the best clubs, and then either locally or internationally. Then on FIFA international approved days, then we are able to get quality matches. Where they are now, they need quality matches. They need matches that will challenge them. They need matches that will challenge them in terms of their thoughts, in terms of their approaches on technical and even on their character development, and beginning to prepare them to become professionals. And how do you become a professional? You become a professional when you know what to do at what time and what you should be doing. And all that I'm speaking about is the program that will put you to be doing this. Nobody will tell you to do this or that. It's the instituted programs that will tell you what you must do at what time and what you have to do. And again, we need to empower our authorities in terms of, I want to speak about what Inkum said. He spoke about decision-making. Decision-making is very important in terms of putting in place some 3 issues: subsidiary, autonomy, and responsibility. Because when you keep decisions and you keep it at the top there, you are not the one to meet the end product. The one to meet the end product is the coach on the ground. Is the coach who is in contact with the player directly. So the decisions he will give to the player is very important. So whatever information you have, you need to make it available to this coach in terms of programming, in terms of planning. Planning goes with program, and program goes with the vision that the entire nation has. These visions are put into programs. And once they are put into programs, the program is put down to the subsidiaries. And that is what the subsidiaries are what I call those who are on the ground and can feed directly into the player. So I want to say that clubs should take this ownership. When clubs begin to take ownership of youth football, then we'll have these boys, as Inkum said, then we will be able to monitor them on our database. Then you know that this player is playing here. This player is playing here. He's actively playing. He's playing in Kotoko. He's playing in House of Oak. He's playing 11 Wonders. He's playing in Ukraine. He's playing in Denmark. Then on approved FIFA calendar, we're able to get
on the database.
Yeah.
Coach, on the database issue, how do you say that, this player has done enough to move from under 17 to under 20? Or, this guy has played enough games. Okay. What are some of the factors that you can consider to say, this guy is good enough to move to a national team?
Assuming Inkum I trained with Inkum those days, and he's aware. I still remember as working on the pitch in those days. If I had Inkum at that time, maybe Inkum was 17 years. And then I look at Inkum's potentiality, not to be for the U17. I'll promote him to challenge him and put him in the U20 squad. And when I put him in the U20 squad, maybe he's a 2006 year born. So today he's 15 years. So if he's 15, and then I know that potentially his cognition or his temperament or his passion is huge. His size in terms of anthropometric is his size is he's a huge guy. I will not play him with the U17s. I will put him in the U20s, and then gradually I'll be monitoring him because he's on the database, and I know the potential that he holds. I'm not looking at him for the youth team. I'm looking at him for the Blasters, and that was how Abedi Pele and then the World Pele had the opportunity of playing for their national teams at age 17. He played at age 17 because the potential he had at that time was not to play him in the course, was to give him the opportunity to play in RTU. And in playing in RTU, he still excelled at that level. So he had the opportunity to play in the 1982, 1980 Cup of Nations in Libya as the youngest player. So these are all bases. So if you have the database that Inkum is young, but Inkum has the capabilities of competing at that level, it is all about putting in place the right technical, psychological, and physical components of the tools he needs, and that is the education, the tools he needs in order to be able to play. In Denmark here, our first team, we have players who are 2006 born, who are 2006 born, and playing in our first team. In yesterday's game, we had 2 players who were playing with that age. He's just 17 years, playing against older ones. It's the institution that will propel you to be able to do, because you have passed through the mill. And so when clubs are able to institute cultures, Kotoko has their culture, and so they are preparing their players, and then they have also what we call the network clubs that they also help around them, so that if there's anybody coming up, they are the first point of contact that they can easily get into the club. So when you are able to help them in this aspect, then the culture is instituted. So I solely believe that our football development is going to be based on our clubs, not necessarily the national team. The national team has no player. The players belong to clubs. So whatever knowledge we have...
Let me bring in on the club issue. Let me bring Inkum, because you do make a fantastic point on the structures. But Inkum, all of these structures can be put in place. A database can be made where players are tracked and all that. But a lot depends on the decisions that these players and their managers and agents take, because that would also help with the players' trajectory in terms of development and game time. You've made some decisions. What do you think players should take into account when making some decisions, especially at this young age where you just came off a good tournament? There'll be so many teams after them.
Yes, like I was saying, and like Coach was saying, I think Coach, education-wise, he's giving he's giving a intelligence, something that we all have to listen to him. We have certain players that, like I say, sometimes our decisions we think is good, but sometimes it's not good at this young age. Like you said, now they won the cup. You see a lot of agents will come, a lot of clubs will come to them, but they still need education, that people that they, like Coach said, they can talk to. Because if he's in his club side, okay, and because he has been in under 20, he won the cup, he thinks he's number one in the world now. He's even forgetting that he play World Cup. He has even forgetting that he have to wake up the same time that he did to win the African Cup. Because World Cup that they are going to go is different ball game altogether. You will see a lot of good talent, like Coach said. 17 years now he's playing in Denmark, their senior national team. So he tells you how they grew their kid. They give them much confidence on the pitch. So I believe that in the club side, they also have to take responsibility. I mean, our country now, because now we have also young sports minister, young FA president that they also understand the game. So they have to do something that the government itself have to also help the league itself, the coach, the league to bring the talent, because we have the talent. But without education-wise, we cannot go anywhere. Now I won the cup now. I think maybe I'm Samuel Inkum. I think I'm Cristiano Ronaldo in this world. But it shouldn't be like that. It's supposed to be process level, like being under 17, under 20, under 23, then senior national team. Maybe some of the players have that kind of confidence that from under 17 they can go to senior national team. It's not all of them. And I believe that they shouldn't rush them, but they should take their time and put them in the good. They should make sure that they play good club. They should make sure that they have playing time. They should make sure that things that they were doing before, they should continue doing it. Because I've been there before. The moment we took the World Cup and the African Cup and the World Cup, we thought everything is okay. You understand what I mean? So I believe that things that they were doing before, they shouldn't sleep. They should even do extra. And if they continue doing like that, like what Coach said, I know him very well. He's somebody that I respect him so much, because when under 17, when they dropped me, he was there to also motivate me, say that somewhat nothing is too late. So whatever he's saying, he's right, my brother.
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel Nkum. We are entering the final belt of the show, our last couple of minutes. But before we wrap up, let me come to you, Coach Dramani. If these players are watching you this morning, what would be the words that you have for them to ensure that they're able to transition from the youth teams and one day play for the Black Stars?
But the coach is listening to what I'm saying, and he knows that these are my words, whether speaking with you or to the nation or speaking with the president and then all the known authority. I still want to believe that we need to be more responsible. We need to create autonomy in the way we do things. We need to give subsidiary powers to those on the ground in order to be able to institute these measures. I still stand by the point that we need to empower and trust clubs to take up these responsibilities of instituting strong youth youth structures in their team. The nation will draw the programs, and then they need to respect it. But I think that, with the youth player, what is important is the transition. And then transition in terms of every moment of the player, they're scouting. They're scouting for you to go to the next phase. There's talent identification and discovery to move to the next phase. Because when you are able to look at these U20s, you'll be able to tell that this player, if given the privilege, can play in the Blasters. If the answer is yes, why not? Why do you waste the person's period? Let me give an example like Kudus, for instance. Because of the exposure and the privilege he got with Right to Dream, would you say he was the only best player around? It was a privilege. So the privilege comes with the opportunities around it. He was more exposed into Europe before even stepping his foot into Denmark. And now that he came into Denmark, he had the opportunity of being educated and refined from what he did in Right to Dream. So he was more refined to be able to play in a higher league in Holland as in Ajax. In Ajax, he's going to be more refined in terms of his education. At least he has more than 30 years of active football to play for the senior national team. In the national level, he's had the opportunity of playing in under 17, in an under 20s, and then now he's in the Blasters. So if you look at this transition, the transition of players has to be upgraded by instituted structures, instituted monitoring and evaluation measures, so that you will be able to say that having gone through these aspects and being active over the period, it is up and right now that this person can be able to fit into this aspect. And I think that this team we should look at where they will be playing, and then we'll follow them up. That is the monitoring. We should be looking at how we evaluate them and then give them the opportunities in order to fill into respective and then good matches that Inkum and I have been speaking about in our morning discussion. So if these boys are listening to me, they will agree that the road has just been started. And the good aspect is that at least they have had the opportunity to showcase that, given the opportunities, they have been privileged to be able to do well. And then the future will rise even higher.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach. And thank you very much, Samuel Nkum, for joining us this morning as we did a post-mortem analysis on the Black Stars Lions and their triumph in Mauritania as they secure their 4th Africa Cup of Nations title. My name is Oreko Wampofo, and we certainly do hope that we see majority of these players in the Black Stars hopefully bringing the Africa Cup of Nations home. That's how we'll be wrapping up the sports here. You can get some more sports stories on my Joy Online /sports, or follow us on social media at Joy Sports GH. The AM show continues right after this.